If a game sells well and developers are drowning in money, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna make a sequel. Now, I hate the idea that all sequels are bad. They're really not. That really goes for movie sequels. With movies, sometimes with the next installment, it'll just completely ruin the franchise as a whole. Like The Amazing Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 had great moments, but God, that was a dumpster fire. But we're not here to talk about movies. Today, we're going to be talking about video game sequels, good and bad. And another thing I want to say before I go into depth with all these video games is, a lot of people hate the second installment of a game, but really, I may be talking a lot about second installments, but I'm also looking to the future of the franchise, One sequel just isn't the second installment. I'm also going to be looking at the third and fourth. There's a lot of them. Some are good, some are bad. But together, we're just going to sit through this and try to get through this in one piece. So, stick around if you want. If not, I don't blame you. As some of you guys may know, I love the Batman Arkham series. Ever since I played Arkham Asylum, it was just beautiful. You have a chance to become Batman. You have a chance to be the Bat, as their marketing slogan is. Well, a lot of you also know that Arkham City is my favorite installment. And guess what? It's a sequel. There's something about Arkham Asylum, the free roaming, the villains, side missions, it's glorious. It's beautiful. And plus, after Arkham Asylum was followed up by Origins and Knight, and Knight might be criticized for being too much Batmobile-y, but still, at the end of the day, I wouldn't want that game to be any different. Because I loved the ending a lot, So, honestly, the Arkham series sequels were perfect, in my opinion. Origins is very underrated, I loved it. You can't go wrong with a Deathstroke boss fight. You cannot go wrong with that. It is a glorious boss fight and possibly one of my favorites. I've learned to appreciate the Fallout games a lot now, and, I wish I could go back to the simpler times when I would just sit in my room all day and play Fallout 3, because those were the glory times, let me tell you. I played Fallout 3 to death. I think it's personally my favorite in the franchise, but New Vegas is a close second. I love New Vegas' story a little bit more, hunting down, the man that shot you in the head. I thought that was cool, and plus the music, I kind of liked a little bit more, but, staying on Fallout 3, Fallout 3 wasn't just a beautiful map and a beautiful game, beautiful, for the time it was beautiful, graphics. But the DLCs really, Into the Pit, Far Harbor, they were just glorious. And I can't tell you the amount of nightmares I got from Far Harbor, dude. It's freaking mental. Dude, I can't tell you how perfect I think Fallout 3 is. It does have its flaws. Maybe sometimes you'll get weird glitches, and you'll run out of ammo, and you're just kind of dicked. But, personally, this one's a little soft spot, and I shouldn't be biased, but I think Fallout 3 deserves a mention. Keeping up with the theme of my childhood, another great game of my childhood was Injustice: God Among Us. And after I played that game countless times, I hate to say it and I hate to brag, but I was a pretty good Joker main back in the day. And then after I kinda got out of that phase, I didn't play Injustice for a while, let alone fighting games. And, coming back to Injustice 2 nowadays, I'm a little rusty, but I'm trying to get back in the groove. Injustice 2 takes the good things from Injustice: God Among Us, modernizes it, adds a little bit of a polish, and it works perfectly. When you expect a sequel, sometimes you expect something brand new. But Injustice 2 wasn't just brand new, it kept a lot of the same mechanics that I just really, really enjoyed. It felt like I was just reliving my childhood all over again. So far the story's really great. I haven't completely finished it yet, so I'm not going to really base the game off its story. But I can tell you that Injustice 2 really... it didn't put Injustice: God Among Us in the dirt. I can think of several games that started off very small but grew with its franchise. For example, Grand Theft Auto. You know how it started off as a side-scroller beat-em-up, whatchamacallit? Well, look at it today. GTA 5 thrives off online multiplayer, and it's got a great story, and it's doing well for itself. And before that, GTA 4, which is, I think, is my personal favorite for the story, GTA 5 is whatever. But GTA 4 was beautiful, and it, pretty much started most of what we know as online multiplayer. PS3 was just different, guys. Great times. And even Nintendo's got great titles. Of course, Nintendo's got Mario. I mean, not the biggest fan of Mario 2. Out of all the Super Mario games, I think Super Mario 3 is my favorite, followed by Super Mario World, but that's besides the point. Hell, even Donkey Kong's got some good shit coming on. And, I don't know anything really about Donkey Kong, so...
Yo, what up, guys? This is Burnt Cheese here. Thanks, Papa Spank. and today I'm talking about one of the greatest video game sequels of all time and one of the greatest video game trilogies of all time, Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo, or as it's called in Japan, Super Donkey Kong 2. Donkey Kong Country was a huge success, and a lot of people online, critics, everyone, say it's an amazing game, and I can't disagree. But I do think that 2 and 3 are both superior games. But in terms of just one sequel being better than the original, I have to look at Donkey Kong Country 2. It improved on every single aspect of the first game in almost every way. Donkey Kong Country was unique with its formula, as it didn't necessarily have power-ups. You only had 2 characters with slightly different abilities, or in the later games, far different abilities. Even the animal buddies you got weren't necessarily power-ups. For example, Winky the Frog makes you jump higher, but it's harder to move left and right as he's more slippery. As opposed to Super Mario, where you pick up a fire flower, you're the exact same with the added ability of shooting out fireballs. No downside, only an upside. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, I just really enjoy the way Donkey Kong Country handled power-ups. In Donkey Kong Country, it focuses less on getting power-ups, but instead using most of your key instincts and skills, and just having the animal buddies for variety. The secrets in the first game were nothing special. If you got every single secret, it didn't really unlock much besides one extra little cutscene. And all the extra bonus rooms were just to get extra lives. And you couldn't throw the barrel upward or at an angle in this game, only forward. And while the graphics look absolutely amazing, 99% of the colors you're going to see in this game is black, brown, gray, green, and white. Not super exciting. And Donkey Kong's only advantage over Diddy is they could take out stronger enemies easier. But the thing about Diddy is that he runs way faster and jumps slightly higher, and Diddy's extra mobility is 9 times out of 10 more useful than Donkey Kong's strength. In Donkey Kong Country 2, everything about the first game was improved. In the first game, all the levels were very horizontal based, but in this one, there's a lot of vertical play too. And since Donkey Kong got kidnapped, you now have Dixie Kong, who is able to use her helicopter hair to fly long distances. They both get just about equal time in each level, and they both have their strengths and weaknesses and are balanced very well compared to the first game. Remember what I said about Donkey Kong Country 1 having amazing graphics, being held back by its choice of colors, and only having green, gray, black, brown, and white? Well, in Donkey Kong Country 3 and 2, mostly 2, the colors are so much better, and it's a lot more vibrant, with bright blues, hot reds, deep purples. The graphics now have a bigger chance to shine because of its more vibrant color scheme and art style. And in DKC 2, you are no longer being attacked by the enemy, you are now going to the enemy to rescue Donkey Kong. Now you're on their home turf. The second game also has a slightly darker story, while at the same time still being a fun, cutesy adventure, with a lot of quirky elements. Each Donkey Kong Country game sort of has a theme, the first one being jungle-themed, the third one being a mishmash of country, sci-fi, and classic horror. This one goes for a more pirate theme. The secrets in this game actually matter too. Getting all DK coins will make you the #1 video game hero. And paying Clubba at Clubba's kiosk with Creme coins will give you access to the secret world. Now you're actively trying to get the secrets to unlock more levels to get the true and second ending, which is really, really awesome. Another thing DKC 2 improves about the first game is the boss battles. In DKC 1, the boss battles are very simplistic, which isn't automatically a bad thing, but all of them are super boring and aren't super creative. It's usually jump on their head 3 times. And that's good for maybe the first world or 2, but they're nowhere near as creative as they are in 2 and 3, especially 3. But 2 was the first one to actually improve. The only boss fight that I actually thought was very well designed in the first game was the final one, and the only one that was decently designed was against the Big B thing. But the second and third game actually make it feel like you have to use your head a little bit. And one of my favorite things about this game is the music. Robin Beanland, Evelyn Novakovic, and David Wise composed the music for the first game. Yes, yeah! David Wise, our Lord and Savior, made some pretty good music in the first game, but in the second one, he was the only one there to make the music, and he made a masterpiece. The only S-tier song in the first game, in my opinion, is Jungle Hijinks, or DK Island Swing as some call it. But, in this one, almost all of them are S-tier. Only a few of them are A-tier, and those are the worst ones. The worst songs in this game are still A-tier. In a Snowbound Land, Sticker Brush Symphony. Oh my gosh. It's so good. Crocodile Cacophony. David Wise is a genius. DKC2 is one of the best video games of all time. Thank you for having me on here, Papa Spank. Pikmin 2 is also a great sequel.
Huh? Oh, yep, thanks, I guess. Anyways, this is the part of the video where things kind of get a little, negative. Now we're going to be talking about some shitty sequels, I'm going to be upfront with you. So, buckle your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Alright, let's be honest for a little bit. How many Tetris games do we need? You know, I get it, Tetris was a revolutionary idea. Before your parents had your sorry ass, they were probably in the arcades playing Tetris all day. And you know, I get that. But how many titles of Tetris do we have? Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem, I think. You know, this isn't as much as a shitty sequel as it is a complaint, but damn. The only ones I think are necessary are Tetris, Tetris Color, Tetris Effect, and Tetris 99. Note, I said 4. There's this many Tetris games. The first sign to knowing you have a problem is recognizing the fact that you have a freaking problem. When I was the ripe old age of 10 years old, EA came out with Star Wars Battlefront, a newer one, you know, not like the older ones. This was the new gen Battlefront, and it was a great game. You know, I enjoyed running around as Han Solo, because Han Solo, subjectively, is my favorite character, and it was awesome. It was a great time. And then EA ruined it by releasing Battlefront 2 to the public. Now, you know, the only thing I really like about it is graphics. You know, gameplay, it was annoying. But the thing that really angered me the most about Star Wars Battlefront 2, the amount of money that has to go into the game for it to just be fun. I hate the fact that the whole game, it feels like just centers around loot boxes. Are you kidding me? You know, like, I don't want to go into depth to save time, but EA really screwed over one of my favorite games, and it was really disappointing, and I don't know if I could ever get back into another Battlefront game, if they make a third one. But, I mean, by then, maybe they'll learn to get the stick out of their ass and not make it all freaking in-game purchases. Come on, EA, you really disappointed me here. Continuing on with the disappointment theme, COD Infinite Warfare. Now, you see, this is the awkward time in Call of Duty's history where everything's now futuristic. Yeah, now we got Call of Duty, flying ships. The only redeeming quality about that game was zombies, you know? There's only a few good maps. Spaceland zombies, you got Raven the Redwoods. Even then, you know, it may not be Treyarch zombies, but still, I'd rather have that shit than the other shit, if you know what I mean. Like, I think maybe World War II is close, but I think Infinite Warfare is probably the most hated Call of Duty in history. You know, no one's going back to COD 2 to criticize it, because, you know, it was great for its time, but, you know, nowadays, if you ask someone their least favorite COD game and the one they think they hate the most, it'll probably be Infinite Warfare, followed by World War II. And even then, I didn't think World War II was that bad, but I can see why a lot of people didn't like it. You know, it stepped outside the curriculum, especially when we're in that awkward time period where everything's so futuristic. It kind of took us back to where, you know, everything felt more like war and stuff. But, you know, a lot of people don't like that. They'd like to have, you know, jetpacks going. So, you know, to those people, I don't like you. Not every COD game needs to be futuristic. So, don't let the door hit you on the way out. While looking through titles on the internet to see if I missed anything, because, you know, there could have been something that slipped my mind throughout the process of this video. I came across a game called Hotel Mario. And granted, I know nothing about this game and I can't really judge it, but the only description I found was on Wikipedia about Hotel Mario is a puzzle game developed by Fantasy Factory and Philips Interactive Media for Philips CDI. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what the game looks like. The hell is this shit, Nintendo? You let this shit get out? Now, those are just some examples, I don't want to make this a very long video where I'm talking about, just 1,000 games that I like, don't like, yada yada yada. And, the bigger question at the end of the day is, why don't sequels work sometimes? Well, and that reason's cause, when you have a standalone game, and then you think about making a sequel, the previous game already has its own structure, and people expect it to be like that, it has its own style, and, it's hard to imitate that sometimes. It's hard to evolve from that. Because you get to a point as a developer where you need to innovate, you don't want to release the same game over and over and over. And, for instance, with COD, they implement new things every time. For instance, I can talk about zombies more comfortably because, I'm a zombies YouTuber. For instance, in Black Ops 1, you don't have shit like you have in Black Ops 2. You don't have gobble guns. You don't got buildable shields. There's teeny tiny steps that innovate. And, say you're playing a game where it's very basic, and then the second game you just jumped a bunch of new mechanics and a bunch of new, ways to play the game. That's fine and all, but it's not gonna hit with everyone, you know what I mean? It's gonna be a hit or miss for some people. So, when you make a sequel, you need to think like that. You need to keep those things in consideration, and you don't want it to flop, for lack of better words. So, hopefully you got something from this. I know this is a very oddball video. It just kind of came out of nowhere. But trust me, next video is going to be kind of more like my curriculum. It's going to be a zombies video. Woo! I'm going back to the OG stuff, so stick around, like the video, maybe, maybe comment, do more things. I don't know.